All right, so before we go on to example 3, I want to talk about the slope-intercept formula for a linear function. So if you know the slope, this is the nice thing about the slope-intercept formula is if you know the slope, whoops, hang on, get my pen to work. Okay, so if you know the slope and you know the y-intercept, so this b value is the y-intercept. So it's the y-intercept is the place where, if you were to graph this function, it's the place where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so that's why they call it the y-intercept, because it crosses the y-axis at that point. If you know that point and you also know the slope of the line, then you can write an equation for that line, and it's just y equals mx plus b. So you may have heard that before. If you haven't, that's okay. But so when you have, like I said, if you have the slope and you have the y-intercept, it's really easy to calculate or to come up with the formula for the line that passes that has those properties. Okay, so the slope is rise over run, delta y over delta x, and so it's the average rate of change of the function. And the y-intercept is the place where x equals 0. All right, the y-intercept is where x is equal to 0, which makes sense because if I put in 0 for x, right, then I get y is b. So then I know that the point 0 comma b is on the line. The line. Okay? All right. So let's look at this next example. We're given 2 points, right? 0, -1, and 3, 8. So, and we want the equation for the line that passes through those points. All right, so let's take a look at it. It doesn't ask us to graph it, but let's go ahead and take a look at it graphically. So 0, -1. So when x is 0, y is -1. So let's say that's -1 right there. And when x is 1, 2, 3, y is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there's 8. And so we can also plot that point. So 3, 8 is about there. And if we draw a line through those 2 points, that is the line we're talking about. So that gives you a little visualization. So this is the y-intercept. So this is the place where the line crosses the y-axis. So we call it the y-intercept. And that is our b value. Now the slope we can calculate from the 2 points, right? So slope is equal to the change in y over change in x. So change in y is 8 minus a minus 1. Minus a minus 1, right? So actually the total change of 9 over 3 minus 0. Okay, so we have a change in x of 3. So we increased x by 3, and we also increased y by 9. So we get 9 over 3, which is just 3. Okay, so now that we have the slope and we know the y-intercept, then we can just write the equation of the line. Y equals mx plus b. So y equals 3x plus b. So it's going to be -1 plus a -1 or just -1. Okay, so there's an equation for the line. So now we can always check that. We can check it to make sure we got the right one. We should be able to put in these 2 points. So if we put in 0, -1, right? So -1 for y equals 3 times 0 minus 1. And you can see that both sides would be equal to each other, right? Minus 1 equals -1. So it's a true statement. All right, we could also check the other point. When y is equal to 8, then x should be equal to 3. So 3 times 3 minus 1, right? So we get 8 equals 8. And it's a true statement, so it checks out. So that's one way to check. If you're not sure if you've got the right equation for the line, just put in the 2 points that you use to write the equation and make sure that they actually work. All right, so I think we have one more example, so I'll meet you in the next video.